All right, guys. Welcome to our first live cast, podcast, whatever the heck you want to call this thing. I thought it was important for us to get together and start to discuss a few of the things that we talk about on a daily basis as we go through this new wave that is going to be coming upon us in the food industry. If you will start by everyone introducing themselves and telling a bit about how long have you been in the business?
All right, my name is Jorge Castillo, and I'm the general manager here of Creative Fair. I've been in the industry for over 25 years, so a long time. Long time. Started out in fine dining, and that's all I've done. Take it away, Chef.
I'm Chef Femi Frazer. I'm the executive chef and owner of Collective Fair Catering and Collective Fair Kitchen. I've been in the industry about 20 some odd years, going to 30 some years. And the key is, right now, we're all redefining themselves. And I have a saying that I tell my team every morning: when you wake up, you either could become a victim or a hero during crisis. And that's what our motives, our whole ambition is. When we get up, we're motivated to make a difference. And these are young men and women still taking chances, coming out, even though most of their family members are in quarantine and they're staying home, but we're essential. I mean, we live in, I'm working in a community where it's already been crisis prior to this taking place. So what do I see myself as far as the food industry? We have to redefine ourselves. We have to connect to who we are as a people and how we offering services, and also protecting ourselves for the things that we did and love the most.
Okay. Chef Femi, how long have you been in the business?
About 20 some years, maybe even 30. I lost count.
All right, Austin, tell us a bit about yourself and how long you've been in the business.
Hey, this is Austin Publicover. I'm the principal at Bulletproof Food Safety. Been in the business for about 13 years. Started off in operations with Danny Meyer's Union Square Hospitality Group. Moved into my first love of food safety about 6.5 years ago when I started Bulletproof Food Safety. And and I love working in restaurants. It's about 80% of my clientele, 20% is manufacturing.
Awesome. Okay, so my name is LaToya, and I've been in the food service industry for about 20 years myself, everywhere from catering to restaurant owner to consultant to baker to dishwasher. And I love it. Every time I try to leave, it pulls me right back in. So I want to kick off today with a few questions, and I want this to be sort of like a round table. What I'm thinking is that everyone tells a little bit about what their thoughts, because in my mind's eye, there are going to be a few changes that are going to go on after this entire, as we move through this COVID-19 industry. So, Austin, I want to start with you. What is the current climate of the food industry during this pandemic?
Oh, LaToya, I think the current climate, it's like a weather forecast right now. I think the current climate in the food industry is cold, gray, overcast, with a 100% chance of drought. I think, restaurants are the hardest hit. That's no surprise. It's where people gather. And right now, COVID-19 is the enemy of all gatherings. For the 614 clients that Bulletproof Food Safety has, I've had about 100 restaurant clients close the last 3 weeks. That's closed permanently. And then the others are sending out urgent pleas for contributions so they can take care of their employees, and they're experimenting with takeout. The margins on takeout the margins in this business, as everyone knows, are very slim to begin with. When you've dropped 80% of your volume and you still have your rent and your employees to pay, takeout isn't going to do it. So I've noticed a winnowing of takeout options as well. I work with some manufacturers, and a lot of their team members are in the grip of the fear that comes with COVID-19. They're fearing obtaining the virus at work, spreading the virus to each other, and how they can maintain social distance in a traditionally, in the traditional close quarters of the kitchen. A lot of restaurants are pivoting to doing hospital deliveries to sustain volume. And then many of my manufacturers are really unable to bridge the chasm between what they typically do and where the need is. So they have found their volume down anywhere between 30 and 60%. And as some people may or may not know, the margins in manufacturing are even lower than they are in restaurants. So, everyone is hurting right now in other industries as well, but the ripple effect in food and certainly in restaurants is terrifying.
So to follow up on that, Austin, my feel right now is that I told someone that when this first was talked about, being from West Africa, I visited last year. I remember when the Ebola crisis hit, and I told someone, I said, "You ever hear of a snowstorm, a blizzard, a tornado, and a hurricane all in one?" And that's what I feel like the industry is going through right now. Literally, we're getting hit with all sides in the natural catastrophe that's out of our control. And it's one. I think being in the industry, you know that you can handle anything that comes at you: heat, cold, sharp, whatever it is. I mean, I think we're kind of conditioned to deal with whatever conditions. But at the end of the day, the thing that made us sustainable and that stood us out of everything else, we knew at the end of the day our shift would end. And that's where we are right now. We don't know when this shift will end. We don't know when this is going to come to a close, when is the mid. We're kind of left vulnerable in a way where, as an industry, we've never been before. And like you discussed, our drive immediately when we realized what was taking place is that, we could have went home, we could have sat down and talked about it, but we realized that this is going to really give us the opportunity to find out who we are and how we take responsibility for our communities. Because, people still need some kind of services. I mean, we're in a community of Brownsville, we're in a community where it's shelters of all kinds here, from family shelters, mental health shelters, men's shelters. There's a lot of things, but also there's working class people in the communities, and March is a long month. When I say it's a long month, I mean, people 31 days. When this crisis started, it was like first, second week of March. If you go panicking and you went shopping the whole, through this whole entire crisis, the first week, what do you have left to spend? So was my biggest concern getting involved in this thing. It's like we need to make an effort immediately. I mean, first thing is we looked at pricing, because our mission statement initially was affordable food, healthy food for affordable costs. We kind of fit it right in the line, so we really didn't have to alter too much in our pricing. But what we realized too, a lot of vendors were having issues with overstock. They have food stocked in warehouses they can't move, because if you say 100% of your clients close down, you can imagine what amount of purchase they do on a grand scale level. So it's a lot that's taking place in this industry, and we have to figure out how to evolve immediately right now, because like I said, we're talking about going all the way down to June and July and what's next. And for us, in New York, the summer is where we make most of our money. You're talking about I'm thinking, let's say from March till September, tourism industry, everything. That's what New York banks on,
Okay, so I want to start off with this one question that's been plaguing my mind. We in the food industry, we hear a lot about from the chef's perspective and about what's going on in the kitchen and about how restaurants are not open. But what we're forgetting about is the key major players, I believe, that are really on the front lines of this thing are people that are in front of the house. They communicate with the customers in the kitchen. They are most likely to come in contact with transfer, because they work in between the kitchen and the front of the house and the back of the house. And so my question to you, I want to direct this to you, Jorge. Do you see a future where, because of situations like this or moving forward, that just shut that. Decline. Are the people in the industry losing their job? How do you foresee how can we protect our people that are in the food industry, actually our front of the house workers? What is the
Austin, we lost signal.
oh,
Back on. Thank you.
Austin, are you back?